Paige, you and I have had a lot of ideas, some which have gone places, others which haven't. This is just another one of them. So here is the first video for vlog F13S1, and here's to this one being sustainable. To kick it off, I think we need to introduce ourselves a little bit, and I think the best way to do that is to give each other and anyone who might be viewing this our top 5 films that define who we are today as we are right now. I'm not going to put these in any particular order from like favorite to least favorite or anything like that. I'm just going to start talking about them and go from there. The first movie that I'm going to talk about is one that has actually been with me since I was a kid, and that is Beauty and the Beast. I don't know what it is about this story, about these characters, about everything in this movie, but it has stuck with me through the years to the point where I still cry whenever I hear any variation of any of the music. And it's not like I was sitting here and I was just like bawling, like ugh. It was more like a reaction, like looking into a bright light might make you sneeze. I hear Beauty and the Beast start playing no matter what language it's in, and my face starts to produce water. Second on my list is The Fall. Now this film is one of the most imaginative pieces of storytelling I have ever witnessed. Ever. It's one of those films that just highlights the power of storytelling. I'm a sucker for stories, so when I get a film that highlights that kind of power, I'm always going to fall in love with it, and The Fall is like the pinnacle of representation for this kind of genre and writing. It is one of the most like beautiful, breathtaking pieces of cinema that I have ever seen in my entire life. Third is another film that has been with me since I was a kid, and that is The Fifth Element. Now, if you've seen this movie, you know how ridiculous it is, and that is one of the reasons I love it so much. My parents raised me on science fiction. I grew up watching shows like Star Trek and Stargate and Lost and all of these other science fiction shows. Like, those were pretty much the entirety of my childhood. And The Fifth Element is basically the top tier of all of these. It's always the movie that I come back to whenever I'm feeling down or sad or just having a bad day in general, or if I'm sick, I can put on The Fifth Element and everything is cleared up. It's also one that when I find out people haven't seen, I tend to want to watch it with them so that I can watch them watching the movie, because reactions to this movie are just... there's nothing better. Number 4 on my list is oddly controversial sometimes, and that is Pacific Rim from Guillermo del Toro. I'm all for people having differing opinions on films. I think that's one of the things that makes film so great, is that it incites so many different opinions on them. But there are some movies that when I hear people don't like, I want to encourage them to watch it again, because they might have watched it wrong. And I don't like saying that, but I mean, I think Pacific Rim is one of these films. A lot of people, right off the bat, they write it off as just this high-octane action CGI type movie. I mean, you're going to be given the high-octane action and the huge CGI monsters and just like huge, really like adrenaline-driven fights, and it's awesome. But there's way more to the movie than just that. And if you missed that the first time around and you didn't like the movie, I encourage you to watch it again, because it is honestly one of the most optimistic stories I've ever seen told. It is the sheer optimism of the human race that saves this film, and it's so well done. The world building is impeccable. I cannot praise this film enough. So watch it again if you didn't like it the first time around. If you don't like it the second time around, fine. Now, I had a hard time with number 5 for this list because there are so many films I could list here, but the one that I'm gonna go with is The Paperboy. Now, Paige, bear with me. You and I watched this movie together with our friend Dan. It has stuck with me. If you're watching this and you haven't seen this film, go watch The Paperboy. It is so bad. I feel like everybody needs to see it. And I feel like it's really important as a filmmaker to watch a movie like this, because this movie is a mess. The directing is bad, the cinematography is bad, the editing is bad, the writing is bad. There is one thing about this movie that is good, and that is the performances. And I don't mean they're just good, they are freaking incredible. It is unbelievable, and I think it's really important for aspiring filmmakers to see movies like this where all of the individual aspects of the film are terrible, but this one thing This one thing, and the fact that the entire movie is completely unapologetic, saves it. It gives it staying power. And I think that's a really powerful statement for a film to make, whether it's intentional or not, and I assure you this is definitely unintentional on the part of this film. So yeah, those are my 5 movies for now. If you're watching this and you have some movies that you would like to share with us, please comment below and tell us what your top 5 movies that define you are. And Paige, I look forward to seeing what your movies are on Wednesday. Bye!
What, like it's hard?